The sun in Sunrise Village was always hot, but that morning it felt heavier on Mark's shoulders. His hands held the old iron handles of a rusty wheelbarrow. The front tire was worn. The paint was gone. The metal showed years of sweat and struggle. He pushed it slowly along the dusty road, head slightly bent, eyes on the ground. Children pointed at him and laughed. "Wheelbarrow boy," one of them shouted. Another added, "See your life? No future." Mark did not answer. He was used to it. Their words still cut his heart, but he had learned how to swallow his pain and keep moving. He headed toward the village market. Every day was the same. He would stand at the entrance and wait for people who needed to carry bags, firewood, cement, or food items. They would pay him a little, just enough for food and for his sick mother's drugs. Sometimes nobody called him for hours. On those days his stomach cried, but he stayed. That morning as he reached the market, he saw them. 3 young men sitting under a mango tree. Clean shirts, polished shoes, faces full of pride. The leader, David, smirked when he saw Mark. "See who is here," David said loudly. "Our village graduate of Whelbarrow University." The other boys laughed. Mark forced a small smile. "Good morning," he said softly. "Good morning, sir," one of them replied, mocking him, bending in fake respect. David stood and walked closer, his hands in his pockets. "Mark, when will you stop pushing that thing?" he asked, tapping the side of the wheelbarrow. "Can't you see your life is going nowhere?" "There is nothing else I can do now," Mark said, trying to keep his voice calm. "I have to take care of my mother." David rolled his eyes. "You and that your sick mother. Always the same story." The boys laughed again. Mark swallowed his anger. He was angry not because of the words, but because deep down he feared they were right. What if his life truly ended on this dusty road, with this old wheelbarrow? As he stood there, pretending not to hear them, his eyes moved to the other side of the market. And then he saw her. Joy. She stood near a vegetable stall, arranging tomatoes for her mother. Her simple dress moved gently in the breeze. Her hair was packed neatly. Her smile, even from far away, looked soft and warm. Mark's heart became weak. He had known Joy since they were children. They attended the same primary school. Back then, she used to share her snacks with him. She would write his notes when he was too tired to concentrate. She used to call him Marky. Now things were different. She talked less with him. Sometimes she pretended not to see him. Other times she simply nodded and looked away quickly. Mark wiped his palms on his faded shorts and took a deep breath. Today, he told himself, I will talk to her. Not just about the weather or the price of tomatoes. Today I will tell her how I feel. His heart beat fast. But before he could move, David's voice came again. See where he is looking, David said, following Mark's eyes. Mark, do you also think you can marry Joy? The 3 boys burst into loud laughter. Mark's ears burned. I did not say anything, he muttered. You don't need to say it, David replied. We know people like you. Poor boys with big dreams. Let me advise you, stay away from her. Men without money don't talk about love. The words hit Mark's chest like a stone. He looked at Joy again. She was talking to a customer now, smiling politely. She did not know what was happening at the gate. She did not know his heart was shaking between hope and shame. Mark gripped the handles of his wheelbarrow tighter. I will still go and greet her, he whispered inside himself. Even if I am nothing, I will greet her. He pushed the wheelbarrow slowly into the market, his heart pounding, not from the weight of the load, but from the weight of love and fear mixed together. Mark worked for hours, moving bags of rice, crates of minerals, and bunches of plantain from one corner of the market to another. Sweat soaked his shirt. Dust clung to his feet. But every free moment, his eyes returned to Joy. She moved from one customer to another, calling out prices, weighing vegetables, laughing gently. Men stopped and looked at her a second time. Some tried to joke with her. Some tried to impress her with their clothes and phones. Mark noticed all of it. Each time he pushed his wheelbarrow past her stall, his heart tried to jump out of his chest. Once their eyes met. She gave him a small smile, the kind you give to an old friend you don't want to talk to for too long. Good afternoon, Mark, she said, her eyes already leaving his face. Good afternoon, Joy, he replied quickly. He wanted to say more. He wanted to tell her that he still remembered the day she gave him her only meat in primary school. That he still remembered the time she hid her face and cried when her father slapped her in front of the school, and he wanted to fight her father, but could not. But the word stayed inside him, locked behind fear. Later that day, when the sun began to move down, the market became a little quieter. Some traders started packing their goods. A soft breeze passed through the stalls. Mark saw Joy standing alone beside the stall, counting money. His chest tightened. Now, if I don't go now, I may never go. He parked his wheelbarrow beside an empty corner and wiped his face with the back of his hand. He looked down at his clothes. The shirt was old. His trousers were faded. His slippers were almost finished. He sighed. Still, he walked toward her. Joy, he called softly when he reached her stall. She looked up. Mark, you're still here? Yes, he said. His throat felt dry. I wanted to talk to you. Her eyes moved over his face, then down to his dusty feet, then back up. She nodded slowly. Okay. About what? He opened his mouth, but before any word came out, someone else walked up. It was David. He smelled of expensive perfume and pride. He placed his hand on the table, close to Joy. Joy, my dear, David said loudly. I brought that soft drink you like. He dropped a cold bottle in front of her. She smiled politely. Thank you, David. David turned and finally noticed Mark standing there. His lips curled. You again, he said. Is there any load you want to carry here? Mark clenched his jaw. I was talking to Joy. Talking to her about what? David asked, pretending to be shocked. He turned to Joy. This boy is disturbing you, ABI? Joy looked uncomfortable. Her eyes moved between the two young men. Market women nearby were already watching. Mark could feel all the eyes on his torn shirt, on his rough hands, on the old wheelbarrow parked a few steps away. He forced himself to speak. I just wanted to talk to Joy. In private. David laughed. Private? What will you two discuss? The price of second-hand slippers. A few people around them chuckled. A tomato seller whispered something to her neighbor. Mark's ears rang. Joy took a small breath. Mark, please, if it's about carrying load, I don't have any load today, she said quickly, trying to sound kind, but firm. It's not about load, Mark replied, his voice shaking. I wanted to talk about us. The word us hung in the air like a strange smell. David laughed louder. Us? Which us? Joy, did you hear him? This wheelbarrow boy said us that. The mocking tone cut deep. Joy's face became stiff. She did not want to be embarrassed in front of people. She did not want her name to be joined with Mark's in their gossip. Mark, stop, she said, her voice low but sharp now. Don't say that kind of thing here. He stared at her, shocked. Joy, I care about you. I have always cared. Since we were small. She shook her head. Caring is not enough, she said. Look at you. You are still pushing wheelbarrow. You can't even take care of yourself. How will you take care of a wife? Her words were like cold water on his face. The crowd grew bigger. Someone laughed openly. Another whispered, it is true, oh. David folded his arms, satisfied. You see, he said. Even she knows the truth. Mark's throat tightened. The girl he loved, the girl he wanted to marry, was now using his poverty as a weapon against his heart. Joy, he whispered. So, this is how you see me? She looked away. Please, Mark. Don't make a scene. We are not children anymore. Go and work on your life first. He stood there for a long second, his heart tearing slowly. Then he nodded. Okay, he said quietly. I understand. He turned away, his eyes burning, his chest on fire. He walked back to his wheelbarrow, each step heavy. That evening, the sky turned orange as the sun sank behind the palm trees. The road back home was long and dusty. Mark pushed the empty wheelbarrow slowly, his mind heavier than the iron. Joy's words replayed in his head again and again. Look at you. You are still pushing wheelbarrow. How will you take care of a wife? He knew she was not entirely wrong. Life was hard. Love did not pay hospital bills. Love did not buy food or school books. But hearing it from her mouth felt like a knife turning inside his chest. He reached the small mud house he shared with his mother at the edge of the village. The roof leaked whenever it rained. The door was weak, but it was still the only place he could call home. He parked the wheelbarrow beside the wall and entered quietly. His mother, Mama Ruth, sat on a mat, leaning against the wall. Her legs were wrapped in an old wrapper. She had been sick for a long time, always tired, always coughing. "Mark," she called softly when she saw him. "You are back." "Yes, Mama," he replied, forcing a smile. He walked over, knelt beside her, and took her hand. "How are you feeling?" She smiled weakly. "I am alive. That is enough." "Did you eat the food I left?" he asked. She nodded. "I did. There is some left for you too." He was not hungry, but he said, "Good." Mothers have a way of hearing what their children do not say. Mama Ruth studied his face carefully. "Your eyes are red," she said. "Did the sun worry you too much, or did something happen?" Mark hesitated. His mother already had enough pain. He did not want to add his heartbreak to her load. "It's nothing, Mama," he said quickly. "Just tired." She squeezed his hand gently. "You have been tired for many years, my son." He looked away. After a while, he stood up and served her some water. Then he sat beside her on the mat. The small room was quiet except for the sound of her breathing. "Mama," he said suddenly, surprising himself, "do you think I am useless?" She frowned. "Where is that coming from?" "Sometimes I feel like I am just wasting my life," he said. "I push Whelbarrow from morning till night. People laugh at me. Some call me names. Even the girl I care about thinks I am nothing." Mama Ruth sighed deeply. "Is it joy?" He blinked. "How did you know?" "A mother always knows," she replied softly. "You talk about her without knowing you are talking about her. The way you say her name, the way your eyes change." Mark's shoulders fell. "She doesn't want a man like me." "Did she say it?" Mama asked. "Yes, with her eyes, with her words, with her silence." He expected his mother to comfort him with sweet lies. But Mama Ruth had never been that kind of woman. "Mark," she said quietly, "in this world, many people will measure you by what you have in your hand, not by what you carry in your heart. That is life." He swallowed hard. "So what should I do?" She turned her head and looked at him, her eyes soft but clear. "You must decide who you want to be," she said. "Do you want to push this wheelbarrow forever? Or do you want to use it as a beginning, not an end?" "I don't have any other skill," he said. "That is not true," she replied. "Since you were small, you always knew how to calculate money. You helped traders count their sales. You can read. You can write. You are not useless, Mark. You are only stuck." Her words sank deep. "Sometimes," she continued, "God hides a man's future inside small, hard days. If you stay faithful in the small, bigger doors will come. But you must be ready to walk through them." He looked at her tired face. Even with sickness, she still spoke with strength. A tear slipped down his cheek. "I am trying, Mama." "I know," she whispered. "And one day this village will know too." He lay down on the mat beside her feet, staring at the cracked ceiling. Outside, crickets began to sing. In the darkness, Mark made a silent promise to himself. He would not let mockery be the last story of his life. He did not know how. He did not know when. Days turned into weeks. Life did not suddenly become easy because Mark made a promise in his heart. The wheelbarrow was still old. The work was still hard. The villagers still laughed. But something small changed inside him. He began to wake up earlier. He reached the market before others so he could help aged women arrange their stalls for a little money. He watched people closely, learned which traders sold more, which customers had bigger businesses, which lorries brought goods from the city. He started asking quiet questions. "Madam, where do you buy your rice from?" "Uncle, how much is a bag in the city compared to here?" "Sir, why do some traders have more customers?" Some answered him. Some waved him away. But the pieces of information entered his mind and stayed. One hot afternoon, the market was busier than usual. A big truck loaded with bags of cement and rice broke down just outside the gate. The driver argued with the security man. Traders complained about the road being blocked. "Who will help us carry these things inside?" the driver shouted. "I don't have time." Others looked away. Mark saw an opportunity. He rushed forward. "Sir, I can help. My wheelbarrow is strong." The driver looked at him doubtfully. "This small thing." "It is stronger than it looks," Mark replied. "Let us try." They tried. The small wheelbarrow moved bag after bag. Sweat flooded his back. His legs shook. But he kept going load after load. After a long time, they finished. The driver, impressed, counted money and pressed it into Mark's hand. It was more than he usually made in 3 days. "Thank you, boy," the driver said. "You worked like 3 men today." "Thank you, sir," Mark replied, breathing hard. As he turned to leave, a man in a neat shirt, who had been watching from the side, walked up to him. "Young man," the stranger said, "what is your name?" "Mark, sir." "I have been watching you," the man said. "You are not lazy. You do not complain. You think ahead." He pointed at the wheelbarrow. "Do you use this only in this market?" "Yes, sir. This is my work." The man nodded slowly. "My name is Mr. James. I come from the city every 2 weeks to supply goods to some traders here. I need someone I can trust to help me with my deliveries and keep records." "Keep records?" Mark repeated. "Yes, someone who can write, calculate, and handle money without stealing." Mark's heart jumped. "Sir, I can do that. I finished secondary school. I can write. I can keep accounts." Mr. James studied his face. "You are sure?" "Yes, sir." "Good," the man said. "I will test you. Next week when I come, you will work with me for 1 full day. If you do well, I will take you with me to the city. You will work as my assistant." The world seemed to stop for a second. "Take me to the city?" Mark whispered. "Yes. The pay will be better than this wheelbarrow. You will also learn business. But I don't tolerate lies or laziness. Think about it." "I don't need to think," Mark said quickly. "I will be ready, sir." Mr. James smiled faintly. "We will see." He walked away. Mark stood there, his heart beating fast. It felt like a small window had opened in a dark room. As he pushed his wheelbarrow back to his corner, he saw Joy again. She was busy with customers. 2 young men stood near her stall, dragging her attention with their jokes and flashy phones. For a moment, jealousy tried to rise in him again. But this time, something else spoke louder. One day he told himself, "I will not stand far away ashamed. I will be a man who can stand anywhere without fear." He turned away from her stall and went back to work. The week that followed felt longer than a month. Every day, Mark woke up before dawn and pushed his wheelbarrow to the market. He still carried loads. He still heard laughter behind his back. But inside, he carried a quiet hope. He told his mother about Mr. James's offer. Her eyes filled with tears. "The city," she whispered. "That is far, Mark." "I know, Mama," he said gently. "But this might be my only chance to change our life. If I go and work hard, maybe I can send money. Maybe I can bring you to the city later." She brushed a tear away. "You are my only child. I am afraid. But I am more afraid of seeing you stuck here forever." She pressed his hand. "If this is the door God has opened, walk through it. I will pray for you." The day Mr. James returned, he kept his promise. He made Mark help him sort goods, count money, and record sales in a small notebook. "Write the names of the traders, the goods they took, and the amount they have to pay next week," Mr. James instructed. Mark's handwriting was neat. His calculations were correct. When a trader tried to lie about how much she owed, Mark quietly reminded her of the exact figure. Mr. James watched everything. At the end of the day, they sat on the back of the truck. "You did well," Mr. James said. "Not perfect, but honest. I like honest." "Thank you, sir," Mark replied, tired but hopeful. "Can you leave this village in 3 days?" Mr. James asked. Mark's heart raced. "Yes, sir." "Good. We will travel early in the morning. I will pay you a small salary at first. If you prove yourself, it will increase. You will stay in a small room in my compound. Food is included. But remember, no laziness, no stealing, no lies." "I understand, sir," Mark said. As the truck drove away that evening, dust rising behind it, Mark's mind spun with a mix of fear and joy. He walked home under a sky full of quiet stars. When he told his mother, she hugged him and cried softly, half from happiness, half from fear of the unknown. Word spread quickly through the village. Some people shrugged. "He will still come back with that wheelbarrow," one man said. Others laughed. "City is not for village wheelbarrow boys." David heard the news and smirked. "Let him go and suffer in another place. Maybe there, too, they will pay him with insults." Joy heard it as well. That evening, as Mark pushed his wheelbarrow past her house, she stood at the gate with 2 friends. They stopped talking when they saw him. Mark, she called. He paused, surprised. Good evening, Joy. I heard you are leaving for the city, she said. Yes, he replied. In 3 days. Her eyes moved over his face. For a moment, he thought he saw something like regret in her eyes, but it disappeared quickly. Well, she said, folding her arms, I hope you know the city is not like this village. People will not pity you there. I am not going for pity, he said quietly. I am going to work. Her friend laughed. Work as what? City wheelbarrow pusher. Mark felt the sting but did not show it. No, he said calmly. As an assistant to a businessman. Joy lifted a brow. We will see, she said. I wish you luck. It was not encouragement. It was not full mockery either. It was something in between. He nodded. Thank you. That night, Mark sat outside his small house, looking at his old wheelbarrow. It had been his partner in suffering. It had carried people's loads and his tears. He touched the rough handle and whispered, thank you. In 3 days, before sunrise, he would leave the village with one small bag, a heart full of fear, and a tiny seed of hope. City life was not easy, but it was different. The noise was louder. The buildings were taller. The roads were wider. People walked fast, spoke fast, and forgot faces even faster. At first, Mark felt lost. He missed the quiet nights of the village, the simple greetings, the sound of crickets. But he reminded himself why he came. Mr. James was a strict man, but fair. He woke Mark up early. They visited shops, warehouses, and markets. They checked stock, delivered goods, collected money, and recorded every detail. At night, while others rested, Mark sat at a small table in his tiny room, going through figures again and again. He wanted to understand more than just today. He wanted to understand business. Why do some shops sell more than others? He asked Mr. James one day. Location, discipline, trust, Mr. James replied. And sometimes just grace. Over the years, Mark learned. He learned how to talk to customers with respect and firmness. He learned how to recognize lies hidden behind smiles. He learned how to negotiate without raising his voice. When Mr. James opened a second warehouse, he put Mark in charge. You have earned this, he said. Don't disappoint me. Mark did not. He worked even harder. He arrived earlier than the workers. He left later. He treated the smallest customer with the same respect he gave the biggest one. Slowly, money began to grow around him. His salary increased. Then he began to receive a small percentage of profits. He did not waste his money on loud clothes or useless things. He saved. He sent money home to his mother, enough to fix the roof, buy better drugs, and hire a young girl to help her with chores. On the phone, Mama Ruth's voice was often full of tears. God is lifting you, my son, she would say. I am proud. After some years, Mr. James called him into the office. Young man, he said, do you have any dream of your own, apart from working for me? Mark hesitated. Yes, sir. Tell me. I want to own a distribution company, he said quietly. I want to supply goods to villages like mine, places where people suffer because goods are expensive. Mr. James nodded slowly. You have learned well, he said. I knew from the day I saw you with that wheelbarrow that you were not just pushing iron. You were pushing your future. He opened a drawer and brought out some documents. I am getting old, Mr. James said. I have children, but they do not care about this business. They only care about fun. I do not want my years of work to die in their hands. He looked at Mark. I want to make you a partner. Mark froze. Partner? Yes, Mr. James replied. You will buy shares slowly over time. For now, I will give you a percentage. Later, you can expand in your own name. Tears almost filled Mark's eyes. Sir, I don't know what to say. Say you will not forget where you came from, Mr. James said. Say you will remain honest. I promise, Mark whispered. Years moved quietly. The boy who once pushed a rusty wheelbarrow in Sunrise Village became a respected businessman in the city. People called him Sir Mark. He dressed simply but neatly. He owned a car, then two. He opened a branch of the company closer to his village and trusted young workers there. But in the middle of success, one image never left his heart. The dusty road, the laughter of villagers, and the girl who told him that caring was not enough. He did not hate them anymore. But he wanted to return one day, not to boast, but but to stand as proof that mockery is not the final voice over a man's life. That day finally came. It was a calm Saturday morning when Mark's car rolled over the familiar dusty road that led into Sunrise Village. He sat at the back seat, dressed in a simple but well-tailored shirt and trousers. His driver, a quiet man named Victor, handled the steering. A second car followed behind them, loaded with bags of rice, cartons of food, and some building materials. As they entered the village, heads turned. Some people stepped back to allow the cars pass. Children waved. Old men squinted, trying to recognize the stranger. The car stopped in front of his old house. The mud walls had been repaired, and the roof was new, thanks to the money he had been sending. Mama Ruth sat on a wooden chair outside, enjoying the morning air. When she saw the car, she stood slowly confused. Victor hurried out and opened the back door. Mark stepped down. For a moment, his mother only stared. Then her hand flew to her mouth. "Mark," she whispered. "Mama," he said softly, his voice already breaking. He moved quickly to her, dropped to his knees, and hugged her legs. Tears poured from his eyes. She placed both hands on his head, her own tears falling freely. "My son," she cried. "You came back different, but you are still my small boy." Villagers began to gather, peeping over fences, standing by the road, trying to understand who this well-dressed man was. "Is that not Mark, the Whelbarrow boy?" someone whispered. "It cannot be," another replied. "Look at the car. Look at his shoes," someone else added. "Those shoes alone can buy 3 wheelbarrows." Mark stood up and wiped his eyes. He greeted neighbors one by one, with humility and warmth. "I have missed home," he said. He ordered his driver and workers to start sharing the food items. Bags of rice, cartons of noodles, and other things were distributed freely. "For the widows," he said. "For the elders. For the children." Some who once laughed at him now stretched their hands forward, shy but hungry. "Thank you, Sir Mark," they said. That name tasted strange in their mouths, but they said it anyway. Later in the day, Mark walked alone to the market. The stalls looked smaller now. The road seemed narrower, but the sounds were the same, the call of traders, the noise of buyers. He saw his old corner, where he used to park his wheelbarrow. For a second, he closed his eyes and saw his younger self standing there, thin, dusty, and ashamed. He whispered, "Thank you, God," under his breath. As he opened his eyes, he heard a familiar voice. "Mark?" He turned. Joy stood a few steps away, carrying a half-filled basket. Time had touched her gently. She was still beautiful, but her eyes carried a different weight now. "Joy," he said calmly. She looked him up and down, taking in his neat clothes, the fine wristwatch, the confidence in his posture. "You have changed," she said quietly. "So have you," he replied. There was an awkward silence. "I heard people calling you sir," she said. "They say you came in a big car. They say you now own a company in the city." "I work with a company," he said humbly. "We have branches in different places." Her lips trembled slightly. "You did it," she whispered. "You really did it." He did not remind her of the day she told him he could not take care of a wife. He did not repeat the words she used to push him away. "Life changes," he said softly. "I am happy for you," she replied, but her eyes were wet. I am still here. Still in this market. There is nothing wrong with that," he said. "Work is work as long as it is honest." She swallowed. "I'm married," she said suddenly, as if the words were heavy. It did not end well. He left. "Things are hard." He nodded slowly. "I am sorry." She looked at him, truly looked, and saw no anger in his eyes. Only a deep calm that comes from long suffering and quiet victory. "Mark," she said, voice shaking. "About what I said years ago. I was proud. I was foolish. I am so." He raised a gentle hand. "Joy, we were young," he said. "We said many things without understanding. I don't hold you in my heart with bitterness." Tears ran down her cheeks. "I mocked you," she said. "I laughed at your struggle. That day in the market gate. I joined them. I remember," he said softly. "But I also remember when we were small and you shared your meat with me. I remember when you copied notes for me. I choose to remember that too." She covered her face and cried quietly. The market around them continued moving. But in that small corner, 2 old memories stood face to face. Mark felt no joy in her pain. He felt only a gentle sadness that the girl who once mocked the wheelbarrow boy now stood in front of the man he became, wishing she had chosen differently. The next day, the entire village gathered at the community hall. Word had spread that Mark, the former wheelbarrow pusher, wanted to speak to everyone. Old women sat in front. Men leaned against the walls. Youths entered and whispered, staring at him with wide eyes. Mark stood at the small wooden podium. He wore a simple white shirt and dark trousers. No heavy chain. No loud watch. But there was a quiet strength in his voice when he spoke. "I greet you all," he began. "Some of you know me very well. Some of you knew me when all I had was an old wheelbarrow." Soft laughter moved through the hall, mixed with shame. "I remember those days," he continued. "I remember the names I was called. I remember the laughter, the mockery. I also remember the people who gave me small jobs so I could feed my mother." He paused, his eyes moving around the room. "I did not come back to boast," he said. "I did not come to prove anyone wrong. I came to say thank you and to leave a message." The hall grew silent. "When I left this village, I had nothing but one small bag and my mother's prayers. I went to the city, and God used a man named Mr. James to change my life. I worked hard. I made mistakes. I cried many nights. But I did not give up." He took a slow breath. "Today, by God's mercy, I help run a company that supplies goods to many places, including this village. I am not the richest man in the world, but I no longer push a wheelbarrow for survival." Eyes watched him with surprise, respect, and quiet regret. He continued, "I want every young person here to hear me clearly. Being poor is not a crime, but remaining poor in your mind is a prison. Don't let mockery tie you down. Don't let people's laughter become your identity." A young boy in the front row looked at him as if his soul was drinking every word. "And for those who like to laugh at others," Mark added gently, looking at some of the men who once mocked him, "remember that you don't know tomorrow. The person you look down on today may be the one you will need tomorrow. Be careful how you treat people." Some heads bowed. "In this small way," he said, "I want to give back." He announced that he would sponsor 3 serious young people from the village to learn business in the city each year. He also promised to support the clinic with medicine for the old and the sick. Gasps filled the room. After the meeting, many came to greet him. Some of those who once insulted him spoke with lowered eyes. "Mark, forgive us," one man said. "We did not know you would become this." He smiled. "It is not about what I became. It is about the lesson we must all learn. Let us treat people better." Later, as the sun began to set, he walked with his mother along the same road he used to push his wheelbarrow. Villagers greeted them with respect. Children ran beside them, calling, "Sir Mark? Sir Mark." Mama Ruth smiled, her face glowing with quiet pride. "You see," she said, "I told you one day this village would know." He chuckled softly. "You had more faith than me, Mama." As they reached the house, he saw Joy standing a little distance away, watching them. This time, she did not hide. She walked slowly toward them. "Mama Ruth," she greeted, bowing slightly. "Good evening, Ma." "Joy," Mama replied kindly. "How are you?" "I am fine, Ma," she said, though her eyes told a different story. She turned to Mark. "Thank you for what you said today, and thank you for not shaming me." He shook his head. "There is no need." She swallowed. "I just want you to know that I learned my lesson the hard way. In this life, money can come and go, but character, humility, kindness, they remain." He nodded. "It is true. May God bless you for choosing the better path," she said softly. "I am happy that your story did not end at that market gate." He smiled, a gentle, peaceful smile. "Mine did not," he said, "and yours has not ended either. There is still time to write a new chapter." Tears filled her eyes again, but this time they were not only tears of regret. They were also tears of hope. As night wrapped itself around Sunrise Village, Mark sat outside with his mother, listening to the quiet sounds of home. He thought about the boy he used to be, the one who pushed a wheelbarrow under a hot sun, carrying loads and insults. He realized something. The mockery had not stopped him. It had shaped him. It had pressed him, but it did not break him. It turned him into a man who knew the taste of shame and therefore chose not to serve it to others.